Hey Nour.
Hi.
It's me, your main character. From your book.
Okay.
I just finished writing my own book.
Wait, you're writing a book?
Yeah, I learned from your videos.
Okay.
I don't know why you wrote your videos canonically into my universe, but anyway, I just finished writing my book. Yes, book inside a book, bookception, we get it. Ha ha ha. Anyway, if you could stop downplaying my dreams. I'm trying to write the ending of the book, and I think I have the perfect ending. I'm gonna end it with, "It was all a dream."
No, don't do that.
Yes.
No, they're gonna hate you.
No.
Readers are gonna hate you. Don't
No, it'll
do
be
that.
hilarious.
Your fake character friends are gonna hate you.
They're real to me.
Hey guys, Nour here, and I previously made a video called 9 Ways to Write a Killer First Chapter, so I thought it would be really fun to make another video called 9 Ways to Write a Killer Ending. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, make sure to ring that bell icon somewhere down below so that you can get notified whenever I upload new videos. Let's get started. Writing a strong ending makes a difference between selling more books or becoming unmemorable. Of course, writing your book's ending is no simple task. It is my opinion that writing your book's ending is the second hardest part of the book to write, with the first chapter being the hardest. With your first chapter, you're trying to get your readers hooked, but with your last chapter, you're trying to get them to love you and your future books. So, how do you write a killer ending? First, start by resolving any subplot conflicts or questions. Remember that this is your ending, so it's important to wrap up any minor conflicts or else your readers won't be satisfied. You can't just be like, "Oh, remember how Jane still doesn't know that John loves her? Yeah, she still won't find out." That's aggravating and mean, so don't even think to skip this step. Resolve all the issues. Personally, I love subplots just as much as I love the big conflict. They drive the story forward. Next, you want to make sure your protagonist is really active. Technically, your protagonist should already be active throughout the story, or at least make some effort to, but your ending is when they really have to be their most active selves. You know, have them wear their gym clothes and run on the treadmill. Just kidding. That's not what I mean by being active. I actually have a full video on making your protagonist active, and you'll find it somewhere in the card up here, but I will explain it here a little. Basically, make sure your protagonist is part of the action. They shouldn't just rely on somebody else to come rescue them at the last minute. I mean, don't get me wrong, they can be rescued, but they should at least attempt to save themselves. Here's an example. Your protagonist is fighting a big monster and he's losing the fight. Still, he's doing all he can to vanquish him. Finally, when all his tricks are used in vain, his sidekick steps in with the one weapon they needed to stop the monster and rescues the protagonist. The protagonist then takes the weapon and ends the beast for good. Here, the sidekick did rescue the protagonist, but the protagonist was also active. This was, after all, his problem to solve. If your protagonist isn't part of the action of his story, then he's a terrible protagonist. Of course, he could still be weak, shy, or flawed, but he still needs to make choices. Be sure to watch my other video on an active protagonist to learn more. Another way to have a strong ending is to ensure your protagonist shows change or internal growth. Are they shy in the beginning but become more confident as the story progresses? This is the perfect time to highlight that change. Besides, your protagonist shouldn't be static unless that's the point you're trying to make. We want to see them learn from their mistakes, become stronger people, and figure out some major life lessons. Let us see their growth, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical. However, I will say that mental and emotional growths are my favorite. I don't even need to be saying this, but you should plan for a big, strong climax. You know, the moment we've all been waiting for, like a big birthday gift. Don't write the ending with no climax. The protagonist just leaves the country, doesn't come face to face with the beast, and all is well. No, not all is well. And you know why? Because your readers are having a riot outside your door. Don't chicken out at the last second. Yes, writing the ending is hard, but it's crucial and you must do it or I'm coming to the riot too. In fact, not every climax deals with physical fight scenes. If you're writing a romance novel, the climax might be something like a character admits his mistakes to the woman he loves, only for her to turn him down. Jane Austen does this well. A climax is simply a moment your reader has been anticipating. Whether there's violence or not, plan it well and make it keep us on our toes. Another obvious tip I feel I need to mention is that the big bad needs to be dealt with. A family dispute has to be resolved or a romantic conflict has to be figured out. Either the love interests get together or walk away, but this conflict has got to get resolved now, or riots, I tell you, riots everywhere with your name on them. After the climax, don't take too long to wrap up the story. Your readers are sick of you. Just kidding, they almost all love you. Almost. But seriously, your readers don't want to stick around after the big bad is vanquished. They just want to know what happens next and either feel good about the ending or cry themselves to sleep. And you should give them that. Wrap things up in the next chapter or two. Don't linger. Which brings me to my next point. Not every ending needs to be a happy ever after. I like happy endings. I live for them. But sometimes they're just not realistic. I'm not saying you need to kill every hope and dream or strip your characters of their health, but don't be afraid to let them lose something. Someone loses an eye, someone sacrifices themselves, or someone gives up their money to save their friends from jail. It's okay if your character doesn't walk off without a scratch. Let them get hurt a little, whether mentally, physically, or emotionally. Even a happy ending has a few rough moments. Also, if you find yourself not pleased with your ending, by all means, write it again. It's not a crime if you do that. But you know what is a crime? A bad ending that spoils my mood. We've waited this long to find out what's going to happen, and the protagonist just conveniently used her magic powers to kill the villain. And now all is great with the world. But I'm pissed! How in the world did she walk away unharmed? And why couldn't she use her powers from the start so I don't have to suffer at the hands of a bad ending? Please rewrite the ending or at least revise it so it has more oomph. This should be where the most tension and action lies in your story. However, don't be discouraged if your story sucks the first time around. Mine did. Yep, when I wrote the ending to Divinity Falling, it was action-based, but a little bit too happy ever after, to the point that it was a tad unrealistic. You've got angels and demons fighting to the death, and no one was even scratched in that last chapter, so I rewrote it and made the original the alternative ending. The second ending became a hit with my beta readers. And finally, make sure all major questions are answered in the end, even if you're writing a series or sequel. This is something I learned over the years after making this mistake myself. Just because you have a second book on the way doesn't mean that you should leave your protagonist wondering if her love interest John is alive or dead. If you want to let her or your reader think he's dead, show evidence or signs of it, but then in the second book, prove that he's actually alive. If done properly, you might even hint at the fact that he's still alive, despite the few signs showing otherwise. This way, you've answered the question, but left something for readers to look forward to. But never under any circumstances end the book without answering it one way or another. Don't leave the protagonist at the battle scene wondering where John is, and then the end. This is abrupt and lazy, and instead of building tension and excitement, you've annoyed your readers. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm curious, is the ending the hardest part of your story to write? And if not, what is? Let me know in the comments. There you have it, 9 ways to write a killer ending. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, check out my others, and subscribe. And remember, Nour for president!